Okay. So Bianca, do you want to start it?
Yes, so hi everyone, my name is Bianca. I'm Student Services Coordinator here, and today we are doing this postgraduate work permit workshop because from our personal experience, we also apply for our own work permit, and we're international students, so we apply by ourselves, and we do believe that we have some tips and we have a personal experience to explain you how you can do it yourself as well.
Yeah. And I think it's nice to have this disclaimer in the beginning because we are not official consultants, we are not IRCC officials. So all the information we are sharing with you today, it's basically everything from CIC, but once you want to apply, please try to follow or an immigration consultant or go directly to CIC for information. Okay, so this is only to describe for you how to apply for the PGWP. It's always up to the CIC to approve your permit or not, okay? So to start with, the first question is, what is a PGWP? Like many people know about it. The PGWP, it's the post-graduation work permit. Most of the students, when they come to Canada, they already know about it. It's the permit that the government of Canada gives to students so they can work after they graduate in a college in Canada. It's important to say that it's not every college allows you to have a PGWP. So we here at Alpha are very proud to offer this for our students. And also it's nice to mention that the post-graduation work permit, it's really the perfect solution for students who want to get work experience in Canada, because with this work experience, they can very easily apply for the permanent residency here in Canada.
So I'm going to be explaining about who can apply for the work permit. And the first thing that you have to make sure is that you are studying under a DLI school. And what would be DLI? So DLI number is a approval from the government to the schools that are approved to host international students. So every school they are allowed to have international students to study with them, they have a DLI number. But not all DLI schools are approved to apply for the work permit. This is very important. So if you look on the screenshot right now, Alpha College has a DLI number, but we don't have the work permit approval. However, our affiliation with St. Lawrence College does have the approval for the work permit. So if you look on the second option, St. Lawrence College at Alpha International Academy, it's approved for the offering the work permit application. This is very important because when you're applying for your work permit, you want to be sure that you're studying under a DLI school and that you are eligible to apply for it. Otherwise, your application will just be refused. Yeah. And on the second slide. So now also about who can apply for the work permit. This is about the duration of your work permit. So first thing, you have to make sure also that you're studying at least 8 months. That would be equivalent to 1 year program. So for some of you who are studying any postgraduate program in Alpha St. Lawrence, your program has 2 semesters, therefore 8 months long. And in that case, you have a duration up to the same length of your program. So it would be 8 months up to 1 year long, since your program is 1 year postgraduate. If you're taking diploma of business, computer networking, or tourism, your work permit can be up to 3 years. That was my case. I studied 2 years in another college and applied for my work permit of 3 years. And that's what I'm in Canada right now, working under this work permit. And the last option is for the students that are taking 2 different programs. So we have some cases of students who are studying 2 different programs of 1 year long. So let's say that you study human resources and then you're taking project management, or you study supply chain management, you're taking human resources now. In that case, the length of your work permit will be equivalent to your length of your studies combined. So let's say that you're taking 2 different programs, one in another college that also has the DLI approval for the work permit, and then the second program with Alpha St. Lawrence, then your entire work permit length will be combined with 2 length of your studies. If in case you are taking 2 different programs at Alpha St. Lawrence College, that will be the same case applicable. You will have the same length of the 2 programs combined, up to 3 years together, yes. And now to the next one. So just to sum it up, who can apply for the work permit? You have to make sure that you meet all those requirements. So the first one is to make sure that you have a valid passport that will go for the entire length of your work permit. So let's say that I'm applying for my work permit right now, and my passport expires in 2025. That means that I have more than 3 years to apply for the work permit and have it completely the entire length. So you always have to make sure that your passport is valid for that. In that case, in case it isn't valid, then you have to contact your consulate from the country that you're coming from, and you have to request and renew your passport. The second requirement, like I mentioned before, is to make sure that you are studying a program under a DLI institution, which all of you, I'm assuming, are students from Alpha St. Lawrence. So yes, you meet already the second requirement. The third requirement is to make sure that your program is at least 8 months long. So if you're studying a 1-year program, it needs to be 2 semesters. If you're studying a 2 years program, it needs to be 4 semesters. And that way you'll be meeting the third requirement. The fourth one is in regards to your level of education. So the program that you're taking needs to be either a degree, diploma, or a postgraduate certificate, which I'm sure all of you are, because all of the programs that we offer under St. Lawrence delivered, they meet this requirement. And the major and last one is to maintain a full-time status. This is very important because in order to apply and be eligible for the work permit, the Canada Immigration wants to make sure that you were full-time during your entire semesters, during your entire program. And in case you aren't because you failed one course in your last semester and you had to become a part-time in order to graduate, that's an exception. However, ideally, in your beginning of your program, you have to maintain full-time in all the semesters, with the exception of the last one. Is that clear for everyone?
Yeah, regarding these requirements, I think Bianca explained very well. Like all the Alpha students, they will have the number 2, 3, and 4 because they studied at the DLI institution. All our programs, they are at least 8 months. And also all the programs lead to a diploma or certificate. So you would just need to worry about your passport. And in this case, like if you have a passport that is expiring maybe like in 2022, you would be able to apply for the PGWP, but you would get like a PGWP, the permit approved only for 2 years because that's the length of your passport. So just make sure you have the valid passport and maintain the full-time status, and most probably you would get your PGWP. So right now, due to the COVID situation, to the pandemic, it's a little bit different. The government is making it a little bit easier for students to get it. And that's mostly because of the online classes. In the past, students couldn't attend online classes and be eligible for the PGWP. But right now, the government says it's okay if they're taking these online classes because of the pandemic. And even the students who are overseas, so if you are a student, you are overseas, like in India, in China, or in Brazil, for example, and you are studying from overseas, it's still okay. So the government says that like they can start their classes while outside of Canada, and then they can complete up to 50% of the program while outside of Canada. So if you are a student of a postgraduate program like project management, for example, it's a 2-semester program. So it means that you can complete 1 semester outside of Canada. So you can complete 1 semester at home, and then you can complete the other semester here. And if you are studying an undergraduate program, 2 years program, so you can complete 2 semesters overseas and 2 semesters here in Canada. And it's very important also to say who cannot apply for a PGWP. So if you take an unauthorized leave from your studies, so you wouldn't meet the requirements from CIC. You can still try to write an explanation letter. We will talk about it later, but please try not to take any unauthorized leaves because this can be bad for your work permit. And also, if you already received the PGWP, you won't be able to apply for another one because PGWPs, they are granted only once in a lifetime. So when you want to apply for it, make sure you're applying correctly. So let's say, for example, you study 1-year program and you apply for the PGWP, you receive it, and after you finish it, and then you want to study again to receive another PGWP, no, this is not going to happen because the government gives only once, okay? And that's also important when students can apply for the PGWP. So students, they have 180 days after they get the final marks to apply for the PGWP. 180 days, it's 6 months. So 6 months after receiving your final marks, you will be able to apply for the PGWP, but you have to make sure that you have a valid status here in Canada. If you don't have a valid status in Canada, you might need to change it to a visitor, for example, if you had a student visa, or you can also go back to your country and then apply there from there, okay? But make sure you have a valid status when you apply for the PGWP.
And now moving on to how to apply for the work permit. These are a few of the documents that you have to make sure you have in hand before you're applying. So the first one will be the transcript from the college. When you complete your program, you will be given your transcript, official transcript, and that document is a major requirement for you. If you apply without the transcript, there's a huge chance of denial. So make sure that you have that document before applying. The second one is the completion of studies letter. That's what we call the completion letter. And that says that this student, he completed his program of project management in this year, in this date, with this GPA. So that is also a huge requirement. You cannot apply without this document. The third one, like I mentioned before, is make sure that you have a valid passport that goes for the entire length of the work permit that you're applying for. Fourth one, you have to have a digital photo when you submit your application online. And the fifth one, in case CIC requests you, they're going to be contacting you in case you're required to do a medical exam. And these are the documents that you need to have on your side, but also you have to fill some documents that the CIC requires. So these documents, they are forms. You have to fill with your information. So you have to put your full name, your date of birth, your family information. You have to put your passport number, all of this stuff. And these documents would be 3 different files, the 5710, 5707, 5257. And those are available on the CIC website when you submit your application online. Also, in terms of biometrics, before they used to not require biometrics, and then before the pandemic also they were requiring biometrics for every application coming inside of Canada. But because of the whole COVID-19 pandemic, they decided to suspend this requirement. So for now, as of now, CIC does not require your biometrics to apply for the work permit. Just so you keep in mind. However, you always have to keep checking the website because everything changes suddenly. So in case they do decide for you to take the biometric, then you have to submit that part in order to get your work permit approval. And another document that you can mention when you're applying your LIDA, that there's the mandatory documents, and at the bottom there's optional documents that you don't necessarily need to attach. But if you would like to put more supporting documents to help out your application, then you can definitely do so. So that would be the letter of explanation, or how CIC calls client information. In that letter, like I said, it's just a supporting document that you can explain your situation. You can explain that you studied from which semester to which one, how did you graduate, which program, and why you're applying for the work permit. If you have a spouse, if you are having a spouse to give the work permit for, then you can also explain the situation in there. If you did decide to take a break and you have medical documents that says to sustain that break, then you can also attach in the letter and explain your situation. This is only for the officer that will be analyzing, review your application. He understands a little better your situation, and he knows what was the case scenario for you and why you're applying for the work permit and why these documents are there. This is only a supporting document. Once again, not mandatory, only optional, but we highly encourage you to do. When I applied for my work permit, I had to do that one as well. Oh, I can see Vikas Kumar asked me something. As I applied for my work permit. So yes, because in that case, you will have to apply for your passport renewal, because when you're applying for the work permit, they're only gonna give you the work permit until the expiration of your passport. So if your passport is expiring next year, you're not gonna have enough time to get your full length of the work permit. So I would highly recommend you to apply for the extension and renew of your passport before applying for the work permit.
Yeah, it's possible to do that. Like, it's possible to apply with a passport that it's not valid for the whole length, but it could be very complicated to get like the rest of the permit. Like, you can get like only 1 year work permit, even though you were eligible for 3 years. But then like you would need to request like the extension, like the other 2 years. So it could be complicated. Try to make it simple for them.
Yeah, it's much easier if you apply for the first time to your work permit if you already have your valid passport until a few years from now. That's much easier. So yes, because you will have to apply for the renewal of your passport before work permit.
So ma'am, what I have to give the reason on the to the CIC that I have to update my passport because I have already completed my 2 year study in Canada.
Yeah, so in that case, you're not applying for your passport renewal to CIC, but you're going to the India consulate in Toronto and you're submitting your renewal request. So in that case, you don't need to inform CIC since you haven't applied yet. You will have to contact the consulate and submit a request to renew. After you receive the new passport of 5 years long, 10 years long, that's up to them. After you receive the new one, then you can submit your work permit application.
Okay,
Okay.
so you mean to say that in this given maybe in this month I will apply for this thing, so next month I will get that thing, maybe
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
Yes.
just make sure you are under the 6 months that you are eligible
Yeah.
to apply. So if you take like longer than 6 months, then you might lost the eligibility for the PGWP.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one more question, sir. So for applying for this thing, where I have to go? Indian Embassy or sorry for that?
Yeah, that would be the Indian consulate. So if you Google it, Indian consulate in Toronto, they probably have a location here. So you can go there, submit some forms, and then pay the fees to renew. So this has nothing to do with CIC. That is about your citizenship status. So you have to renew your passport, and it's okay to renew it outside of India. You can also do it in Canada as well.
Okay, so
Yeah.
one more. I have to take all the yeah, I mean to say certificates too with that.
No, you won't be required to. You're probably gonna have to take your study permit and then the fees, maybe they charge a fees and you have to fill a form there, but no certificates from college will be required. Only
Yeah.
maybe your status in Canada.
Yeah, that's for the passport in India. Like for the PGWP, we are gonna explain later how to apply for it. Okay.
But it's only for the passport that we're talking.
Thank you, sir. One last. What about the biometrics? We have. I already given the biometrics back home while
That's
coming to
okay.
Canada.
That's okay. So right now they are not requiring the biometrics because they want to avoid people going to the same place because of the COVID. So they suspended the biometrics requirement. But if you already give, that's good for you. That's more additional information in your file.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Lucas.
So moving forward.
Yeah, so moving forward, like I said, biometrics would be that, and how to prepare. So yes, so like I said, you have to make sure that you have all the documents required in hand, like all the documents that I mentioned, transcript, passport, validation, all of that, you have to have it ready. And then you also have to have a reliable computer access to the internet. So in that case, we will highly encourage you if you can use your own internet, like your Wi-Fi, instead of going to a public place. Don't use the Wi-Fi from a restaurant or Starbucks. Don't use those Wi-Fi because your information can be stolen and we don't need that to happen to you. So make sure they have a reliable access. Also, you might be required to have a scanner so you can take pictures of your document and submit it. And the scanner in that case can also be your phone. So on the CIC website, they say that your camera, your digital camera from your phone are acceptable. So if you just take a nice picture of your document, that will be good to go. You're also gonna have to have a credit card to pay your fees. The work permit fees is $255, and you have to pay that through credit card. There's no other way to pay it. And in case you need to print and sign some documents, you need to have access to printers. And also to fill out the documents online, the forms that I mentioned, you have to have the latest version of Adobe so you can fill the forms online.
Yeah, and that's like in my experience, it was a little bit annoying because sometimes like the PDF, like they wouldn't open. So for me, it was quite frustrating because like I had to update it. So for the students who are planning to do that, it's a very good tip, like get access to the last version of Adobe PDF Reader because sometimes the forms don't open.
Yeah. And there's a question from Vikram here. We're going to be talking about a little bit. We're going to explain that question to you in a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we can keep the questions for the end. Okay. We have just like a few more slides, then we can open for questions. I think Vikas was asking how to apply, where they have to apply. So right now they can apply everything online. I don't think they are accepting paper applications at this moment because of the COVID. So they just need to go to www.cic.gc.ca. They will be prompted to this screen here where they can choose like the language they want to have service in. So you can click in English, then you will go to this page, okay? You will find at the bottom of the page, you see the most requested one. So you have to click in sign in or create an account to apply online, okay? So the students can do that all online. Click in the sign in or create an account. You go to this screen. You have two options. You can do it either with the GC key or with a signing partner. My experience, I did everything through GC key because my first process with CIC was when I was back home. So I didn't have the option to do the signing partner. So I did everything with GC key. You will go to this button. You can sign in. You can create a new account if you don't have one. Like in my case, I already had an account. You just have to sign in with your username and password. You'll be taken to this screen here, where it shows everything that you can do inside this Government of Canada portal. You have to click apply to come to Canada. Even though you are already in Canada, you have to click here. Then it's going to take you to a questionnaire. It is like a I don't know, I think it's more than 10 questions. You have to answer all of these questions about your status, what you were doing in Canada, what you were studying, the length of your studies. And after you answer all these questions, you will see the results. So in this case, the person was able to apply for a temporary resident visa, that's the visitor status, or the postgraduate work permit. So if after you answer all the questions, you're not taken to this screen, maybe you answered something wrong, it's not a problem. You can just exit the questionnaire and start it again until you get the postgraduate work permit application, okay? And then when you click here, you'll be taken to the list of documents we were mentioning. So you will be able to download all the forms you need to. You will need to upload your picture, your passport picture, and all the documents. And that's basically everything. That's the process that students have to do to apply for the PGWP. And now we have the time for questions.
I think we need to answer Vikram's question. He asked me about the completion certificate, how long it would take. So the documents, the official graduation documents are issued by St. Lawrence College. They come all the way down from main campus in Kingston. And that takes around 45 to 60 days from the completion day of your semester. So if you are graduating now in August, the official last day of the semester is August 29. So from August 29, you can count 45 to 60 days and your documents will be coming to Alpha. We will notify you if you either need to pick it up or we're gonna send to your mail or email. So that one is very subject because of the COVID, but just so you have an idea, it takes around 45 to 60 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have another question here. It's a student, he says that he is in the last semester, but he needs to take an extra subject next semester. So he's asking if this is going to affect his PGWP.
No,
and,
so yeah, in your case, Puni, you are taking one more semester next semester as a part-time student because that's the only option that you have. You need to become a part-time student in order to graduate. And on CIC website, they say that if that's your case, then you're still eligible for the work permit. The only scenario in which you becoming a part-time wouldn't be eligible for the work permit is if you decided on purpose to be a part-time student. So let's say that I'm on my first semester. Instead of me taking 6 courses, I just want to take 1. That's my choice, and I know the consequences of it, but in that case, I wouldn't be eligible for the work permit. But because Puni, you probably fail, or that's one of the courses that you haven't had a chance to take it before. If that's your case, you're becoming a part-time because that's the only option for you to graduate, then you're still eligible for the work permit.
Yeah,
all this information is available on the CIC website.
Yeah, and it's important to mention, Bianca, that even though they are a part-time student, they are studying only one course, they will still be eligible to work only part-time during this time. So even though you're taking only one course here in Canada, according to the laws, you will be able to study only up to 20 hours, okay? You can't study more than that.
Yeah, anyone has any more questions? Any questions about documents or? So that's the time.
I can see someone was trying to say something. I don't know.
I think we have one more question here from Mukul Rajan. So for the time we receive the final certificate, we will get provisional certificate immediately. No, so once you graduate, So you're probably going to be finishing your course around the third week of August. And like I said, the official last day of that semester, according to our academic calendar, is August 29. You won't be receiving any documents because we need to give you official documents from St. Lawrence. If we issue a document from Alpha, that cannot be used for the work permit, so we need to wait for the official document to arrive to us. And like I said, that is only issued by St. Lawrence. So there's unfortunately no provisional certificate. We only have the final certificate, official transcript, and the completion letter. These three documents are your graduation package, and that one unfortunately takes 45 to 60 days to be ready.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I have a question. Like, I came in January 2018. I started in some another college, and I did one semester then, and afterwards I left the studies, and I continue with Alpha College, and I did two different courses in Alpha College of 1 year,
Okay.
like PG courses. Now I'm in HR. So in that case, I have to upload the document of the previous semester that I studied in the another college during applying the
No,
work
no.
permit.
So in that case, can I ask you which college did you do the first semester?
So in Fanshawe College.
Okay, so in that case, you are applying for the work permit on the basis of the two programs you took at Alpha St. Lawrence. The work permit that will be given to you, it's only going to be based on those two programs, not the program from Fashion, even though you study only one semester there. So when you are applying for the work permit, I recommend that you only submit our documents from HR and whatever was your first program in Alpha. Don't submit anything from Fashion because that just makes the officer more confused about your situation. In case he looks at your study permit, your passport, and he goes like, oh, maybe you study somewhere else. Do you have the transcript for that? In that case, he requests you, then you have to submit it. But in case he doesn't request you, don't attach anything else because you're applying for the work permit on the two programs that you took at Alpha St. Lawrence only.
So okay, ma'am. So if they ask me afterwards, like where were you in from January to May?
Yeah.
So
In that
in that
case,
case, I have to submit
that's
afterwards.
right.
Like
Yes.
And if you want, you can also like just as Bianca said, like you can write the support letter and explain a little bit of your story. You can make like a little bit of storytelling here and tell them like I came to Canada in January and then I started my studies, but then I decided to change my course of studies, and then I started Alpha College, and that's why I'm submitting these documents. It's always important to write everything you have. Like even though, like in my situation, like I came with my wife to Canada, and I did everything correctly, but even in my case, like I wrote a support letter explaining what I was doing and why. So just make sure you have everything written in the letter.
Yeah.
okay,
So
fine.
in terms of your mandatory documents, do not attach the transcript. But if you really want to attach the transcript from Fashion College, then you have to do under optional documents. Okay?
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Because Esther's blue and
Yeah, it's about the permission of studies of working here in Canada. After the completion of studies, which in Alpha will be August 29th, can I work full-time before getting the degree from college? That's a very good question. And like the information is a little bit tricky here, but like in the CIC website, it says that the students, they can work part-time until they are enrolled in the college. So the students, they are considered enrolled in Alpha until they receive the final transcripts. So you would be able to work only part-time, not full-time, until you receive your documentation, okay, your documents. And after you receive that, you have two options. You can apply for the PGWP right away, or you have to stop working. Because after you receive the documents from Alpha, you won't be considered a student anymore, and you won't be eligible to work in Canada. So you either apply to the PGWP right away, and then you can start working full-time, or you stop working. So that's very important, okay?
yeah, and also we forgot to mention, but as soon as you apply for your work permit, you can start working full time. You don't need to wait it to be approved. You don't need to wait for the response. You can already if I apply tonight, tomorrow I can start working full time, as long as my application was submitted.
Yeah, that was my situation. Like when I received my graduation documents, I already had all the documents ready. I had my passport, I had all the forms filled, especially because you can open your account in that page we showed you, and you can leave it open, I believe, like for a few days, I think a few weeks actually. And then if you want, like as soon as you're finishing your semester, your studies, you can already start working on your documents. So when you receive your graduation documents, you have everything ready. And if you need to work full-time the next day, you have time for that. So try to gather all the documents, have everything ready. So when you need to apply, it's going to be easier for you.
Yeah, just so you don't waste any time. Also, yeah, just even my case, when I started working in Alpha, I didn't even have my work permit approved yet. I had submitted my application. I was waiting for the result, but then I started working Alpha full time. And then while it was my second month at Alpha, I got my approval work permit. So after you submit the application, you can start working full time. That's why we recommend you having all the preparation done before applying, so you're not wasting 2 hours doing everything at the same time. You can just have it little by little done before then. Any other questions or?
Ma'am, I have one last question. That before coming to Alpha College, I was in private college. That was the Toronto School of Management. So that from where I get the 2.5 year work permit or study permit, like it would be expire on June 1st on 21st, 2021. So I have before applying for the PGWP, I have to explain this college too. That previously I was in Toronto School of Management,
Yeah,
but
so
after then I shifted to government college as Alpha College.
yes, so in that case, like we talked to another student here, you can explain in the client information, which is an optional document that you were approved for the Toronto Management School before coming to Alpha, and you study or did not study there, but you can mention that. However, in your mandatory documents, like your transcript completion letter and diploma, you're gonna be attaching Alpha St. Lawrence only. So you cannot attach the transcript from Toronto Management School in the mandatory documents because it isn't eligible for the work permit. But in the optional documents, you can attach just a supporting document to prove what were you doing and how did you get your study permit in the first place.
Yeah, it's always important to prove to the government of Canada that you had a valid status, that you were not like doing something illegal here, that you were not just like as a visitor. So if you have like the supporting documents, and if you want to, as Bianca said, like to attach like the transcript just to prove them that you were in fact studying, I think it's always nice. Like I think they would appreciate that.
I have one more question. Like in optional document, we have to submit the college documents, or we have to write a letter and submit it.
So optional documents, you can submit as a Word document, a PDF, and that's only for the supporting ones. So our transcript isn't supporting, that's the mandatory document. But if you have any other case before Alpha, if you study somewhere or any other situation, that you attach in the optional ones.
Okay, no, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
No, not now from my side. It's already cleared.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I believe that's all, Bianca. Do you want to add anything else, Bianca?
Yeah, as long as everyone is clear, I'm happy to help you. I hope all the students, they get our work permit. If you have any questions, feel free to always ask us. You have our contact information, and as much as we're away because of the coronavirus, we're always here to help you. It's good to see some of your faces and I know that we are helping the students.
Yeah, we loved being a part of these workshops, and I hope we could help at least a little bit for the students, and hope to see you soon in the campus, okay? Bye-bye, everyone.
Stay safe, everyone.
Stay safe.
Bye.
You too, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.